If you think ghost stories are just movie stuff, you might want to rethink that. Because what you're about to hear tonight, it's not fiction. These are real accounts, the kind that make you glance over your shoulder 2, maybe 3 times before turning off the lights. And trust me, the scariest part isn't always what you can't see. Sometimes, the real horror is exactly what's right in front of you, and you just pretend not to notice. This episode is part of Relatos de la Noche, a channel where fear isn't just entertainment, it's practically a warning. And no, we're not talking just about shadows, ghostly apparitions, or the typical woman in a black dress with a wide-brimmed hat. Tonight's stories combine the paranormal with the darkest sides of reality. You know, the kind of thing that not even the most stubborn skeptic can brush off. So, get ready. Oh, and listen up, because at the end of this episode, we're holding a special giveaway for 5 signed books. Absolute gems for anyone obsessed with mysteries, chilling stories, and that sweet, creeping feeling of dread. Stick around until the end to learn how to enter. But let me give you a little warning. Don't listen to this alone. Especially not if there are creaky doors in your house or that one hallway that somehow always feels darker than it should. Because the stories you're about to hear tonight, they don't just end when this video does. Some of them might just stay with you a lot longer than you'd ever expect. Ready? Take a deep breath. Because just when you think you've heard it all, something always comes along that makes you question whether reality is really as safe as it seems. You know, those visits that start off totally normal, but end up leaving scars on your memory? That's exactly what happened when he went to visit his cousin Freddy, who lived in a small, isolated village near Mazatlan, Mexico. The place had this weird, suffocating silence, like the walls themselves were hiding ancient secrets. And honestly, it didn't take long to realize that something supernatural lingered over that village. Something nobody really liked to talk about. The first night? Totally normal. Until it absolutely wasn't. Somewhere deep in the night, the strange sounds began: heavy footsteps, like someone dragging their feet just outside, mixed with muffled cries, coming from Waknoshire. But the worst part? The sounds didn't just come from outside, they were coming from inside the walls. And man, the smell. This overpowering stench of death and rot seeped into every corner of the house. That's when he knew this wasn't just imagination, or some bad dream. When he glanced over, Freddy was sitting there on the couch, pale as a ghost, hands shaking, doing his best to pretend nothing was happening. His only reaction? Cranking up the TV volume, desperately trying to drown out the inevitable. And when our guy asked what was going on, Freddy's reply was something he'll never forget: just turn up the volume. If we ignore her, she'll go away. Her? Who exactly was her? Oh. That answer came faster than he wanted. Outside the window, there she was. The figure he would never forget. A woman dressed head to toe in black. Thin. Skeletal. A wide-brimmed hat partly shadowing her face. Her walk was broken, like her legs barely worked. The suffocating weight of her presence pressed down on everything. And that smell, oh man, it was like death itself had walked through the front door. The worst part? She stopped. Just stood there. Watching. Except she had no eyes. Just hollow darkness. A living, breathing shadow of a woman. By morning, he didn't think twice. Threw everything in a bag and bolted back to Mazatlan, swearing never to set foot in that village again. That experience left a scarone that got even deeper when, a few years later, Freddy and his father mysteriously died in a car crash. Another strange disappearance no one could quite explain. And to this day, whenever he closes his eyes to sleep, the last thing he sees isn't a face. It's the absence of one. That woman in black. Because some things, they never really leave. Every family has its secrets, right? Along with the old photo albums and grandma's recipes, there's always that one story, the one nobody likes to talk about. But in the narrator's grandma's house, oh man, this went way beyond stories. That house, it was practically a portal to somewhere else. For as long as he could remember, people whispered about how haunted it was. Strange noises, marbles rolling across the attic, doors creaking open on their own. And the footsteps. Always the footsteps. They would start and never finish. The fear was almost tangible. And if you think it was just noises, oh, you couldn't be more wrong. There was also her. That constant, suffocating presence. A female shadow that only showed herself to certain people. His aunt, who worked in a hospital and was unfortunately way too sensitive to these things, kept seeing her. The same figure, over and over. A woman in black. Long dress flowing down to her feet. A wide black hat that hid most of her face. And the worst part? She didn't even have to look directly at you. Just knowing she was there was enough to make the air feel heavy. One night, there was no more pretending. Driving back from a party, his aunt suddenly slammed on the brakes in the middle of the street, pointed, and whispered, "She's right there. Staring at us." Everyone in the car? Instant panic. Nobody else could see her, but they all felt it, hat sharp, ice-cold shiver running straight down their spines. You can laugh about it now. But in that moment? Silence. Like even the crickets were too scared to make a sound. But it all came to a head one particularly weird night. His grandma asked him to go up the outside stairs and bring her a Bible for protection. Halfway up, there she was. The woman in the black hat. Just standing there. Head bowed. Her dress fluttered like there was wind. But only on her. And man, that wasn't a person. That was something else. Something wrong. A spiritual manifestation so intense, it froze him in place. His legs gave out. His heart nearly exploded. There was only one thing left to do: run. As fast as he could. Without looking back. From that day on, sleeping in that house became a last resort only if there was absolutely no other choice. And never, ever alone. That female shadow felt tied to that place. Or worse. Maybe she was part of it. No one ever figured out exactly who she was, or why she kept showing up. Some believed it was old witchcraft Brigeriadone decades ago on that land. Others? They whispered about some kind of hidden family curse. An inheritance no one really wanted. You know, the kind of family secret that stays buried for generations. Until one day, it just can't stay hidden anymore? Yeah. This was exactly that. Growing up, the narrator always felt something was deeply, horribly wrong with Mama Karina's house. The noises never stopped. Crying that seemed to come from the walls. Sudden bangs in the middle of the night. And that smell. That awful smell of rot and decay that showed up out of nowhere. And disappeared just as fast. And everyone? Oh, they just pretended it was normal. Mama Karina's mental health started crumbling fast. Like something was draining her, breaking her spirit. She'd mutter nonsense, talk to herself. Or maybe to someone or something no one else could see. And the nightmares? Oh, they didn't just haunt her. They hit everyone who slept in that house. Dreams full of shadows. Of female figures watching from doorways. Of something. Alive. Hidden. Waiting. When Mama Karina finally passed, it was like the house exhaled. But only for a moment. Because while packing her things, someone noticed something strange behind an old wardrobe. A false wall. When they pushed it open, what they found was something straight out of a nightmare. A hidden room. A prison. The smell hit them first, death, mixed with human waste, rot, and something far worse, clinging to every surface. Inside? Chicken bones. Rags. Half-eaten food. Broken trinkets. It looked like an altar. Or a cage. Pure terror. The narrator and his cousin immediately vomited in the hallway, right there. No one could handle it. It was clear this room had been used for something evil. Maybe dark rituals. Maybe brujeria. But the part that chilled everyone to the bone? The door had been broken from the inside. Whatever had been trapped in there left. It waited until Mama Karina died. Then broke free. Panic turned into full-blown dread. No one ever spoke openly about it again. On the surface, the excuse was to protect Mama Karina's memory. But everyone knew the truth. It was fear. Pure, raw fear. Everyone kept the secret. Except the narrator. He broke the silence. Because there was one more cruel twist to this story: he had been cut out of the will for not being a biological grandchild. Maybe that was a curse. Or maybe, just maybe, it was a blessing in disguise. Even now, one question never leaves his mind: whatever was in that room, where is it now? So you made it this far. Lights off? Or did you cave and flip them back on halfway through? Yeah, not everyone makes it to the end. But hey, if you did, you deserve a reward. And no, I'm not just talking about bragging rights. We're running a giveaway for 5 signed books, filled with stories every bit as disturbing, if not more, than the ones you heard tonight. Perfect for anyone who loves getting lost and properly freaked out by mysteries, the supernatural, and everything that makes your spine tingle at 2 a.m. Want in? Super easy. Drop a comment below telling me where you're watching from. And don't forget to add how you usually listen to our stories. Are you one of the brave ones? Lights off, headphones on, middle of the night, just soaking in the fear? Or maybe you're in the absolutely not alone camp, listening in the car, at work, anywhere but home, in total silence. And seriously, I want to know, which story tonight messed you up the most? Was it the woman from the seaside village, with that smell of death you just can't unsmell? The woman in the black hat, who seems permanently tied to that old house? Or maybe the absolute nightmare fuel of the hidden room at Mama Karina's, with its cursed legacy and unanswered questions? Let me know. I'm dying to hear which one stuck with you. And hey, if you've got a story of your own, don't keep it to yourself. Send it to us. I promise it'll be treated with the respect and the chills it deserves. Who knows? Maybe your story will end up in a future episode. Because one thing I've learned after all these years: the world is way stranger and way more haunted than most people are ready to admit. So you know the drill. Hit that subscribe button, tap the bell, and drop your comment below. Let's keep this community of mystery lovers, night owls, and paranormal junkies going strong. And trust me, stay tuned for what's coming next. Because just when you think you've heard it all, something always shows up that makes you wonder whether reality was ever really that safe to begin with. And now, Let me ask you something. After everything you've heard tonight, do you still believe the things we can't see don't exist? Is the world really only made up of what our eyes can process? Because man, sometimes, you can't help but wonder. What if that shadow you catch in the corner of your eye isn't just your imagination? What if that sudden chill isn't just a breeze? What if everything you've convinced yourself to ignore has actually been there all along? Hey Race, the Truth Life has a messed up way of reminding us that not everything has an explanation. And maybe, just maybe, the scariest part isn't the ghosts, the shadows, or the woman in the black hat. Maybe it's the fact that these things seem to choose who sees them, and who's allowed to pretend they don't exist. Because the line between reality and whatever's on the other side is way thinner than we like to believe. Maybe the real horror isn't in that woman blocking the stairs, or in a hidden room sealed away for generations. Maybe it's in what those things represent, in the way they force us to confront how much we ignore the invisible, while the invisible never, ever ignores us. Every door that opens by itself, every cry that echoes from inside the walls, every shadow where there shouldn't be one, they're all reminders that time and logic can't erase everything. So now, stop and think. How many secrets does your own family keep buried? The stories no one brings up at family gatherings. The things shoved under the rug, or hidden behind an old wardrobe, just like that room in Mama Karina's house. How many pacts of silence were made by the generations before you? How much of a hidden legacy are you carrying without even knowing it? And worse, how many doors are you still too scared to open? And if you're thinking this kind of thing happens to other people, careful. The supernatural has a funny way of choosing the right or maybe the wrong people to reveal itself to. And trust me, once you step into this world, even just by listening, you don't come out the same. It starts with a noise, a smell, a shadow you swear wasn't there. And after that, reality starts to shift. Just a little. And then a lot. So seriously, which of tonight's stories is gonna haunt you the longest? The woman who never left? The hidden room? Or maybe the feeling that even now, someone, is watching you, right from the corner of the room you thought was empty? And more importantly, are you actually ready to find out what's watching you when the house goes quiet? If that question made your skin crawl even a little, you know what to do. Hit subscribe. Smash that bell. Share this episode with someone who loves or is absolutely terrified of stories like these. Because whether you believe it or not, the doors to the unknown are always open. We're just the ones pretending not to see them. And trust me, there's a lot more coming. Stories that don't just give you chills, but stick with you. Stories that, once you've heard them, never really leave. That's it for tonight. Or is it? After all, who's to say that when this video ends and the lights go out, you won't start hearing footsteps where there shouldn't be any?